Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm back in India, all set for my interview season. The lights are ready, the background is cool, but there is one thing missing this year: interviews. Honestly, I had some videos lined up already, the Hopkins vlog, the how to get US clinical experience guide, but I thought this video required urgent attention, and this is the video I never thought I would ever make in my life. But I've been sulking for the past couple of weeks in my bed before I decided to deploy my ego defenses and do some analysis of the situation in hand, and most importantly, give you guys a real idea, a real picture of the challenges in the USMLE journey. And before I begin this video, I want to clarify that in no way my intention here is to discourage or dissuade anyone, but just to give an honest, real picture of what's happening and what you are signing up for. So, what do everyone tell you if you want to pursue your American residency dream? Get good scores in sub 2CK, probably above 250. Get sufficient US clinical experience, probably 2 to 3 months with strong letter of recommendations. Get some research experience, some publications, and pretty much that is the recipe of success, right? Well, not really. I'm going to tell you two things which are deal breakers in the entire process and which nobody told me about, but they are really important, and if not more, but equally important to all the points that I mentioned before. The first is luck and the second is connections. And before I dive deeper into both these, I want to just discuss more about what's happening this year and what are the possible reasons for it. So I talked to a lot of people just to get to know their perspective, their stats, and what they think could be the reasons of why they have received insufficient interviews. So for reference, here are the 4 profiles, right? And just for once, try to guess how many interviews they have gotten so far. And now compare this to the invites last year with similar profiles. Crazy, right? So what happened? So here are the possible reasons which I gathered from all over the internet and by talking to my fellow applicants and seniors. Now the first and most common reason is increased competition. Check out these mails from the programs which say that they received an enormous number of qualified applicants this year, and it was impossible for them to, extend an interview to all of these profiles. So looks like a lot of people applied this year and the number of applicants increased significantly, right? Well, according to the prelim ERAS data, the number of people did increase, but the increase is merely 5%. Could that result in such a drastic reduction of interview invites this year? Well, personally, I don't think so. The number of increased applicants could have had some effect on the reduced number of interviews this year, but I don't think this is the sole reason of why there is so much chaos this year. The second most important reason is signals. Well, signals is not something new, but I do believe now that they can really influence your chances of securing an interview at a place. So think of it from a program's perspective, right? This program has gotten like 5,000 applications and like 500 signals. So if some applicant has spent their very limited signals on that program, mentioning their interest in the program, that I really want to come to this program, they are more likely to get an interview. So although you are not guaranteed an interview because you have signaled a program, or you're not guaranteed a rejection because you have not signaled a program, but you're more likely to get an invite, your application is more likely to get vetted if you have signaled your profile. Here's an advice for people who will be applying next year: please utilize your signals very, very carefully. In retrospect, I made this mistake of signaling only the university programs because I thought my profile is good. But do not make the mistake I made. Utilize your signals properly. Distribute those among university affiliated and even community program, no matter how your profile looks like. Even if you have scores about 270 and decent number of publication and US clinical experience, I would still recommend distribute them properly, and that way you can really increase your chances of securing an interview. So the third is the new ERAS rule, which says that the programs cannot extend more interviews than the number of interview slots that they have. This rule was actually introduced last year in May, and I did not find any violations of this rule on Reddit last year. So I don't think this has anything has changed in this, and this could have resulted in lesser number of interviews this year. The fourth is that the interviews are virtual, But again, this has been going on for a couple of years now since COVID pandemic, and I really don't think that anything has changed in this aspect, and which could have resulted in lesser interviews this year. So in my opinion, I don't think this is one of the reasons. So the next one is visa sponsorship. Now again, nothing new, but for some reason this particular year, only non-US IMGs, that is the people who require visa, are the only ones who are at the receiving end of this. I talked to a lot of US IMGs and non-US IMGs and scrolled a lot of Reddit, and I realized that only non-US IMGs are the one who are facing this shortage of interviews this year. The other non-visa requiring candidates, for them the interview season is going pretty well. And you ask me, what is the reason for that? Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. And people are still hopeful that there will be cancellations and there will be another wave for non-US IMGs. But would there be one? Well, we'll find out in 2 months. So the next one is the new ERAS application. This year, ERAS introduced a new rule that you can only include 10 experiences in the CV section. And that was the only significant change that happened in this math cycle. Now, people were asking me, how should the experiences look like? Should they be more clinically oriented? Should they be more research heavy? Or, should it look like more of a holistic or a volunteer heavy thing? How should these experiences look like? Well, remember those applications I showed you in the beginning of this video? These were holistic. They had good US clinical experiences, research experiences, and did any one of that make a huge difference? Well, not really, right? So could there be any new filter that ERAS introduced as well in this cycle, which could have resulted in favoring non-visa requiring candidates over visa requiring candidates? Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what happens internally. But when I think about this was the only significant change that happened this year, and might be one of the reasons why, there is a drastic reduction of interviews this year. Now let's talk about the 2 important points that I mentioned in the beginning of this video: recommendations or connections. Well, this is something that is really important. Again, you are in a pile of 5,000 applications, and someone can go to the PD and tell them, just have a look at this application. I know this person, this is a really great candidate. That increases your chances of getting an interview significantly because your application gets highlighted. And there are programs which have specific measures in place which allows their residents to recommend certain candidates that they think will be good for the program, and they have these systems in place. So reach out to your seniors, your mentors, anyone you know in the US, and request them if they can recommend you to their programs. And do not do this at the last moment. Reach out at least 1 year in advance, because literally if you do it in the last moment, they will be flooded with such requests, and they have a limited quota of just 1 or 2 persons they can recommend. And so it is advisable to reach out early to them. Also, here's a small advice: do not reach out to unknown residents over LinkedIn, and especially not in their Instagram inboxes. I read a couple of posts on Reddit that people are actually messaging residents in their Instagram DMs asking them if they could recommend them to their programs. Well, I know we all are desperate. I know they say that you got nothing to lose, but it is very, very unlikely that an unknown person will recommend you to their program. And also, in a lot of instances, I feel that it will not be taken in a very good or positive way. So I would refrain from doing that, honestly. Having said that, does getting a recommendation guarantee you an interview? Well, definitely not. Check out the screenshot. So 200 applications were recommended and only 40 interviews were extended. That is like a 20% probability of you getting an interview, right? So you could be in a pile of those excellent 160 applicants which did nothing wrong, which got recommended, which maybe even signaled the program, but still did not get an invite because the probability is low. But compare this probability to a program where you were not recommended by anyone. So on average, a program receives like 4,000 to 5,000 applications, and they extend around 300 to 500 interviews depending upon the number of slots. So that is like a 5 to 8% probability of getting an interview. So getting a recommendation definitely increases your chances of getting an interview. But again, it does not guarantee you anything. And lastly, luck. I do believe now that you could be the best candidate with scores over 260 or 270 with excellent US clinical letters, US research experience, and a lot of it would still depend on luck. The graph is undeniably skewed towards the programs because of the number of candidates and the competitiveness. Even if the program puts in all the filters like scores of 260, good US clinical experience, research experience, a holistic profile, there will still be hundreds of applications in that list, and the program can only send a handful of invites, right? So what is the fault of other people who were in that list despite all the filters? Nothing, just luck. So someone might get 3 interviews while the other gets none. So a lot of it depends upon luck despite no matter what you do. Now again, the purpose of this video and my intention is not to discourage anyone or dissuade anyone from following their American residency dream, but just to paint a real picture on the challenges you're gonna face when you decide to come on this journey, and have some realistic expectations. Retrospectively, when I think about this, I had very unrealistic expectations till like 2 months ago, and I wish somebody had told me all these things. Would that have changed my decision? Well, probably not, but I would have had better expectations and would have used my signals in a much better way, I think. So that is it for this video. People who are currently in this math cycle, do let me know in the comments below if there is something you would like to add or something that I missed. For some of you who have gotten a decent number of invites, do tell us what you did differently, and that could really help the future applicants. So good luck to all of you. I really hope the cycle gets better and we all end up matching in March. And please do like this video and subscribe if you felt this video was informative. I have 2 more videos and a vlog lined up. And if you have any more questions, do let me know in the comment section below, and I shall see you in the next video.